Hello, welcome back to Behind the Faders, the live sound channel. Today I want to talk about touring as a sound engineer. I get this question every once in a while in my coaching calls from people that are local sound engineers, but they would like to go on a tour every once in a while. So what's it really like to be on tour and how does it work? Now, of course, there are many different levels of touring. But I think in general it can be roughly divided into two main categories. And the difference between these categories is really just the way of transportation. Um, so the smallest kind of touring is obviously a band touring on its own. So we're not involved, so we don't need to talk about it. The next level would be a band traveling in a van with their sound engineer. And if you find a band that is willing to pay for a sound engineer because they care about their front of house sound, that's a good band. You should stay with them if you can, because when they get bigger and take you with them on their journey, it's a good spot to be. So, a day on a tour like that usually starts in a small hotel somewhere. And the first challenge of the day is always will everybody make it in time onto the van so you can be in time at your next gig. Of course, that depends on the kind of band you're with and the character of the people and their discipline, but it can turn out to be a real problem sometimes, and you can expect to be late very often because not only are they not showing up in time, they underestimate the time that's needed to get to the next gig. I've seen it millions of times. Like while they have their last beer the evening before, it's like, when shall we start tomorrow? Oh, well, it's roughly 200 kilometers. Let's give it 2 hours. No. You need to get out of one city. You need to get into another city. You might have to stop for somebody who wants to pee or grab a bite or whatever it is. So for 200 kilometers, at least 3 hours. And by the way, little detour here. If somebody, maybe the band or maybe they have the manager, asks you if you would be willing to be the tour manager along with being a sound engineer. So, make a little extra money, oversee the entire thing a little. I'm not saying say no in any case, but consider it carefully because if you say yes, now you're in charge. Now it's your responsibility to make sure that you start early enough and everybody is in time. Plus, you will have to handle the money and you will have to solve all the problems that come up. Having said that, I know a lot of people who actually enjoy that kind of responsibility. Those are usually the people that at some point move on from being a sound engineer to being a stage manager or a production manager or tour manager. If you are that type of person, go ahead. I'm just saying, consider it carefully. Okay, now while you're on the road, this is a good time to make some phone calls, unless you are the driver, of course. But now it's a good time to phone upcoming venues. Make sure they got the contract, they understood the contract, no problems, everything is agreed upon. I talked about that in a short recently. You should really phone each and every venue in advance to avoid problems. And now you arrive at the next gig. Usually, I don't know, depending on how much gear you bring and everything, usual arrival time is somewhere between maybe 1 p.m. and to 3 p.m. Now, the next question is, do you help unloading the van as a sound engineer? I usually didn't because while the band was unloading, I was checking the PA, making sure everything is right and tuning it while they were setting up. And if they have local help, I wouldn't do it at all. Unless, of course, which I never did, if you bring your own desk or you have your own in-ear rack or anything sound related, then you haven't got much of a choice than helping. But usually I don't. What I will do though is a lot of the miking. Even though maybe the local sound company would do it, I told you many times that I always mic my own drums. So I will do a lot of the miking. And now you have the sound check. And after sound check, it's probably a good idea to check into the next hotel, or at least make sure somebody drives to that hotel and collects your room keys, because in those kind of hotels that you usually stay in on a small club tour, they don't have a 24/7 front desk. So before it's too late, get your room keys. Then you will have dinner at some point. Maybe sometimes it's catering in the venue itself. Sometimes you will get a buyout, so you can order a pizza or find a place nearby to have dinner. And after dinner, before doors open, this is a good moment to check the stage one final time. Make sure all the drum mics are still in place, all the mic stands are still tight, nothing has moved, everything is okay. Then doors open, then you do the show, and then you do the loadout. Will you help with loading out? I'd say in this case, absolutely yes, because you don't have no reason not to help, and it makes everything faster. Everybody wants to get out of there. So yes, absolutely, you should help with loading out and getting the stuff back into the van. Then you drive to your next hotel, maybe have a drink, and go to bed. And next day, repeat. So that's that kind of touring in a van with a band. The other kind of touring is, of course, if you're traveling on a sleeper bus, on a nightliner, as we say, or sleeping coach, or whatever you want to call it. So you're not using hotels unless you have a day off. In this case, your day starts in front of the venue. You wake up in front of the venue. So your first task will be grab your wash bag or even grab your entire bag and find the entrance for your morning routine. It sounds silly, but for me, as a sound engineer, along with the backliners, I'm usually able to sleep in a little, and I'm not an early bird anyway. So very often when I wake up, I'm the last person on the bus. So sometimes it becomes tricky to find the entrance. Well, anyway, so you do your morning routine, then you have breakfast, and then maybe you have a crew room so you can leave your luggage there. Otherwise, you will have to bring your wash bag back to the bus and grab your stuff that you need for the day. And you start working. Maybe it differs, of course. Maybe you still have to unload the truck, or at least attend it, and then distribute all the equipment where it belongs. And then you set up your stuff. That's usually what happens during the morning, and make sure everything works. If you are a monitor engineer, you might have to do some frequency management. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, if you're wondering if your morning routine should involve having a shower, like you probably would in a hotel. On these tours, it's all your own choice, of course, but most people have their shower at the end of the day before they enter the bus. So when they're finished all their work, they will get on the bus, grab themselves a shower beer, and have a shower then. Others, of course, if you're an early bird and you have got the time, you can, of course, shower in the morning. I'm always finding a spot during the day to have a shower really, because I'm too tired in the morning, and I don't like it to do it at the end of the day. I find a spot during the day where I can have a shower in some privacy, not with everybody else. Just saying. Okay, now after you set up all your stuff, then it's usually time for lunch. And after lunch, you've got your time slot to tune the PA, measure it, listen to it. Sometimes they divide the lunch breaks into two. So The sound crew might have lunch first, and then the lighting crew might have lunch, or everybody else, because they can't do too much anyway while you're tuning the PA. I'm usually not a big part of tuning the PA. I leave that to the system engineer because while the tuning is happening, it's also the time to mic the stage. So the backliners have finished their setup, and again, I'm always part of the miking. Of course, I will then listen to the PA and make adjustments. Like I said in my video about low mids, we'll bring a lot of low mids back after we listen to some music over the PA. And then there's a line check. And after the line check, there is usually a break because now you wait for the band to arrive. And in that time, some people like to explore the city, do some sightseeing. Others like to hang out in the crew room or catering. What I usually do is I get back on the bus. This is a big advantage of traveling in a bus. Watch a movie or take a nap, but just relax. And now it's time for soundcheck at some point. A soundcheck can last anywhere between 30 minutes and 2 hours, really depending on the band. I heard about some artists that did ridiculously long sound checks. Fortunately, I was never part of a tour like that. I think Prince did really, really long sound checks. After the sound check, it's time for dinner. And on a tour of that size, there's usually no buyout. You will have catering, local catering, or maybe the catering is even traveling with you, which is, of course, the best scenario because then there will be a chef that knows what everybody wants. If your tour also includes a support band, now of course it's their time to set up their backline and do their sound check and everything. Oh, and by the way, if you are with the support band, so you travel with the support band rather with the headliner, then of course the daily routine is different. But I already made a video about that, live as a support band sound engineer, and I will link it in the description. And now you wait for the show, which is still, I know I doubled down on that. It's the worst part of the day. And for whatever reason, even if I'm not terribly nervous, but there's always a little bit of nervousness because things can go wrong and you wonder what it will sound like when now all the people are in, or how well does the band perform tonight. There's always little things to worry about that make you, at least I'm like that. So before the show, I will again maybe hang out on the bus. And of course, while you wait for your show, then the support band will go on and do their set. And before your show, there will be obviously a changeover. And after that changeover, you might or might not do another line check. Most people do a line check. Some prefer an open line check, so you actually listen to all your signals again. Some people do a silent line check, with just somebody tapping the mics and sound engineer listening on their headphones. That's however you like to do it. And now you do the show. After the show, of course, then there's again the loadout. How much you are involved in that really depends on the kind of contract that you have. Maybe you don't just have to collect your desk and the things that belong to your workplace and maybe collect your multi-core and that's it. Sometimes you also have to make sure everything is in front of the truck, ready to be loaded. And sometimes it will be part of the loading process. I mean, not actively loading the truck yourself, but telling the local guys where everything goes. So oversee the entire thing. But when the loadout is done, like I said, most people will go and have a shower and then hop on the bus, have a drink or two and go to bed. And that wraps up your day on a sleeping coach. And that's the basic two different levels of touring. I mean, this sleeper bus thing can also go from like mid-sized clubs to all the way up to stadiums. Still basically pretty much the same process. The only other way outside of that I was once lucky enough to experience was when it gets really big. In my case, of course, you guessed it, Metallica, where the crew had their own plane, their own charter plane. So that was pretty much like traveling in a van, only the van was a plane. So you woke up in the hotel, got to the airport, had your own plane, flew to the next city. And sometimes we would go straight to the next stadium, start setting up, or we would have like a travel day and have the rest of the day off. But that's just another thing. So, if you have questions or comments, leave them in the comment section, please. If you have a lot of questions, consider booking yourself a coaching call. I start at 15 minutes. And if you haven't already, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. It's free for you and helps me so much. So I see you around. Bye bye.